Jack! Clear.
Virgin River is one of Netflix's most binged dramas on the service, and its popularity has grown enormously. Many have found that for such a small town, there's a lot going on. From drama to romance to heartbreak, the show has it all. In today's video, we'll be going over some of the most heartbreaking moments in Virgin River. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you don't miss any of the new videos we post. In Season 3 of Virgin River, Mel and Jack finally make their relationship official. However, their happiness is short-lived, and this is where the heartbreak comes in. After Mel tells Jack she wants to have a family, he becomes overwhelmed. Between his shooting, his house burning down, expecting twins with Charmaine, and the custody battle that's in store, Jack doesn't think he has the time or the money to have any more children. When he realizes that he might be keeping Mel from her dreams, he breaks up with her. Mel then goes to LA to support her sister Joey during her divorce proceedings. Joey sees how distraught Mel is about potentially not having children and informs her that Mel doesn't need a man to become a mom. She encourages her to see a fertility specialist to implant her and Mark's remaining embryos. In the finale, Mel gets a positive pregnancy test and tells Jack that she's pregnant just as he gets down on one knee to propose to her. He's overjoyed about the pregnancy until she tells him that it might not be his baby. When Alexander Breckenridge, who plays Mel, was asked in an interview about whether or not any part of Mel wants the baby to be Mark's since it would be a way for him to live on, here's what she had to say. She was pretty conflicted about that from the inception of the idea when Joey brought it up with her. So I would say maybe a small part of her. She was definitely more comfortable with that idea when she thought that Jack and her were truly breaking up. But I think once they got back together, she thought, well, the likelihood of me getting pregnant is small. I think after that she found that she was pregnant, it brought on a lot of complicated feelings for her. Obviously, you can see it on her face, so maybe a tiny part, but I think at this point she mostly wants it to be Jack's. That's who she's currently in love with. Of course, she loves Mark, but they're not in a relationship anymore. I don't know if that's the right thing to say about somebody that's passed away. The next heartbreaking moment in Netflix's drama also took place in Season 3. Throughout the season, Doc struggled with accepting his age-related macular degeneration diagnosis as one of the symptoms was blindness. With the possibility of not being able to run the clinic for much longer, he began his search for a replacement. Being the private person that he is, Vernon didn't want to tell anyone about his search, not even Mel. However, she found out after a recruiter left him a voicemail about an interview. Mel was blindsided as she thought Doc wanted to replace her, but eventually he confided in her about his diagnosis and treatment. She promised to keep it a secret until he was ready to tell the rest of the town. While he'll likely have to hire someone sooner rather than later, at the time of the finale, he was still running the show with Mel's help. Many saw this moment not only heartbreaking, but also as a great moment for the relationship between Mel and Doc. Another heartbreaking moment in Virgin River was the fight between Paige and Wes. After her abusive ex-husband comes to town, Paige is terrified for her and Christopher's safety, especially since he punished her for running away. He tells Paige to pack up their things, but when she refuses, the two get into a tussle and she accidentally pushes him down the stairs. Since Wes, a decorated cop, made it so that Paige would never be able to win in court, she knows that self-defense won't hold up. Preacher helps her skip town and takes care of the body. Connie puts two and two together when she learns that Wes is an official missing person. As someone who lost her mother to an abusive father, she vows to help Preacher come up with a solid alibi in case they find the body. Preacher refuses, and when he learns that Wes's partner turned on him and there's no warrant for his arrest, he thinks his problems are over. That is, until he sees Wes show up at his bar. Turns out, it's his identical twin brother, Vince, who is hell-bent on getting revenge. Bree, Jack's sister, is a new character that arrived in Virgin River after his shooting. While she seems to be running away from something in her past, she isn't upfront about what happened at first. After she suffers a miscarriage, Bree confides in Mel that she was in a relationship with an attorney who didn't take no for an answer and sexually assaulted her, which resulted in her pregnancy. Throughout the season, she deals with the prior trauma by taking handfuls of Xanax and mixing it with alcohol. She also pursues a relationship with resident bad boy Brady. Overall, many found Bree's situation very heartbreaking, with her having to deal with so much trauma along with not dealing with things in the best way. Hope only appeared for a handful of times in Season 3 via video chat as she was helping her 90-something-year-old aunt during a hurricane. Sadly, she wasn't there when her best friend Lily passed away, and the night she was set to come home, Doc got a visit from the sheriff about an accident. Apparently, a truck had hit Hope on her way home. She was in the hospital with a severe brain bleed and had to be put into a medically induced coma due to her heart problems. Doc was a mess the entire time, especially as her condition began to worsen. At the end of the season, we have no indication whether or not Hope will pull through. Of everything that happened in Season 3, this was one of the biggest heartbreaks, as we have no idea what the future holds for Hope. Throughout Season 1, Mel's tragic backstory is revealed. She and her husband, sailor Dr. Mark, are happily expecting a baby, only to have the pregnancy end in a stillbirth. As a result, Mel suffers from depression. The couple undergoes infertility treatment without success. Mel wants to continue the treatments, but Mark is ready to stop, seeing the toll it is taking on his wife and their marriage. They get in an argument in the car while Mark is driving, and he takes his eyes off the road and gets in a horrific car accident and ultimately dies at the hospital. Mel feels responsible for these heartbreaking events. As Season 2 begins, Mel is grappling with her feelings for Jack as the one-year anniversary of Mark's death approaches. The situation comes to a head when Mark's sister Stacy arrives unexpectedly. She's engaged and wants Mel to return her engagement ring, which was a family heirloom. Overall, Mel's story is full of heartbreaking moments. She deals not only with the problems such as a stillbirth, but also loses her husband and a lot more problems along the way with her family and Jack. Of all of the seasons, tragedy really strikes Virgin River in the Netflix's drama third season, and even though viewers are given several episodes to prepare themselves, it's still not enough to soften the blow. Mainly we're talking about Lily, played to heartbreaking perfection by Linda Boyd, who reveals at the end of episode 2 that she's been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. For the next 6 episodes, we watch as Lily prepares to leave behind the people she loves while also learning to accept her own future. At first, she doesn't want to tell her daughter or the group of ladies as she doesn't want to be a burden, but Mel suggests that she reach out to her friends and family for support. She eventually confides in Doc before breaking it to her daughter Tara. Tara tells Connie, the town gossip, who breaks it to the ladies. Everyone is there for Lily in her last days. She passes away peacefully in her sleep and is remembered with a beautiful funeral and reception attended by all those she loved and whose lives she touched. It was so hard, Alexander Breckenridge tells of getting through Mel's emotional scenes with Lily. I love Linda Boyd so much. She's such a sweet person. She's so funny and fun to work with. I was devastated that her character is leaving this season. She's such a fantastic part of the show. I think that's why she was chosen to be that. Your heart goes out to her. You've been watching her through the beginning, with her daughter and her husband dying. The audience really feels for her. That's what makes that storyline so devastating. You love her. Breckenridge also recalls Boyd having a very emotional time with her character's storyline. When we have things in our personal lives that mirror our work, it's even harder, but it also brings such reality and groundedness in the performances. She says her knowing people that have passed from cancer, it brought back everything and it just poured out of her like a faucet. But before you start blaming showrunner Sue Tenney for cursing us with such a depressing storyline, she confirmed that Lily also dies in Robin Carr's book series. It's a death that affects everybody, and it will continue to affect everybody in a potential 4th season, Tenney stated. That's really special, to have one character that leaves behind a lasting imprint on the audience and the characters at large in our show. Her death also brought Jack and Mel back together. The death of Lily, as deaths do, helped them hyper-focus on the important stuff in life and take away the BS. And with that said, that's going to wrap up this video. Thanks for watching.